There we go. I don't know why you didn't unmute, but for some reason you were muted.
Okay. I guess you can't hear me. You weren't able to hear me.
So you gotta start all over.
So sorry about that. We had a technical difficulty and my microphone did not unmute. Everything okay now? Can you hear me now?
This is better, yes. Okay.
Okay. So sorry about that. Now, what did I just say in the last 5 minutes? All right. Tonight's Learning Live is about getting ready for a crop. We have the Create and Inspire event coming up at the end of the month. If you are lucky enough to be attending that event, or there is the Scrap Fest crop coming up in April, and sometimes getting ready for a crop can be, can be quite a big job. So the best advice I can give you is to start small and start building. So even if every night or every morning you get up and you make yourself 2 kits, then you're going to have lots and lots of different projects prepped and ready for working on at these crops. So tonight I'm really going to just share with you how I approach going to a crop, or in some cases going to an in-person trade show, so that I make sure I've got everything I need. Key things you're going to want to have handy as you prep your kits to go is a notebook. And I generally just start a packing list, just as if I was going on a vacation or a trip. And there are some basic things that I always want to have, regardless of whether I'm scrapbooking, whether I am making cards, or maybe doing a little socializing. But regardless of what I'm working on, there's some basic things that I need to have. So I always need to have a trimmer. And what I do, I don't know if you can see that, I do a little box so that I can tick it off once I've packed it. I want scissors. I need my tape runners. I need liquid glue. And so on and so forth. And so, some of this is going to be standard that I'm always going to pack. And one thing I did a long time ago, and I've now switched computers multiple times, so I don't have this list anymore, is if you go to a lot of crops, or if you are planning to go to a number of, let's call them off-site crafting events, what you might want to do is all of these standard items that you always need, type it up on your computer, make yourself a checklist. So every time you go to a crop, you've got a new checklist, but you don't have to rethink it. You don't have to think of it all over again. And, maybe you go to a crop and you're like, oh, dang, I wish I had brought a ruler or my magnetic die stand or something like that. You can always go in and revise it, but at least if you have an ongoing list, it will keep you from forgetting something. So this little notebook I'm going to keep off to the side here, but I'm going to keep adding to it as I go along. Let's start with if I was working on a scrapbooking project. And I think I kind of alluded to it. I'm going to be a little bit more explicit. What I do to go to a crop is I build myself kits. And this can be really handy for going to a crop, but also, again, just maybe you're having a day where your mojo isn't happening. You can go ahead and grab one of these kits that you've already had prepared, and it takes a lot of the thinking out of it. Now, when I scrapbook, I tend to be a person who starts with photos. And this is a kit that I built a long time ago that I have pulled out. Clearly haven't caught up on all my scrapbooking yet, but I pulled this kit out so that you can see exactly how I pull it together. So I start with my photos. I may have layout ideas, whether it is our sketch challenge, sketches that we have. I do have some books. I have magazines. So what I might want to do is pull all my little inspiration pieces out of the magazine, out of my file folder, and pull it aside so that I can put it in my kit. I do also have a variety of layout books that obviously a book, I don't necessarily want to pull the pages out. I'm just going to grab one. Hold on. Nope, that's not one. I can't lay my hands on one now, but for argument's sake, I know exactly what book that I want to use. This is where my Post-it notes are going to come into play. I'm going to say I want to do scrapbooking 101, page 11 to 12, and maybe write myself a note, like how the title works. And so this is going to go right here with my sketch. And of course, over here on my packing list, I'm going to say scrapbook 101 book to make sure I pack it. All right. Whoops. Or I drop my book on the floor. You know, those things happen. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull paper. Now, a lot of these photos are from Disney. This was a trip that Matt and I went on, just the two of us, to Walt Disney World. So we got lots of good Disney stuff, and I have a huge stash of Disney papers, stickers, that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my stash and pull out all of the paper that I might want to use. Now, if I have one of those great big pads, maybe I'll want to cull it down a little bit. You don't want this to be so overwhelming. The whole purpose of this is to take some of the pre-work, some of the thinking out of the process, so that when you're at your crop, you're literally just going to pull and start creating. So a lot of these papers are from pads and are from collections. So I've just got them here, and they are going to go into my kit as well. So I'm just starting to pull everything together. Next up is, stickers and embellishments. So I've got all these, and don't ask me where these are in the store. We don't have them. These are all older. Look at all these stickers that I have that I'm going to want to pull out. I've got this little one here too. So it's making sure I've got everything I need. And I know Disney is one of those things that can be very overwhelming, and you probably have a huge stash just like I do. So try to narrow it down a little bit. Like, I know that, we've got our Segway tour. We've got this. Oh my gosh, look at my hair. No, we're not going to look at that one. We've got some character pictures. So I'm going to look for those things and really I want to have choice. I want to be able to change my mind, but I don't want to take the kitchen sink, because that really defeats the purpose. One other thing I need for this is alphabets for a title. So this is where I may pull out all my alphabet stickers. But when I look at my colors, gold might work. This baby blue doesn't really go with anything. These silver ones might work. So again, pick one or two that are going to work with your papers, work with your options. I've got lots of these green ones here. So these are going to go in here. Now, as I look at this sketch, if this is what my intention is, I may want, a large circle to be able to trace. So if I don't have that at my fingertips, I can write it on my list. Large circle to trace. I can write down, well, I've already got my trimmer. Maybe I want to add some ribbon. Or maybe I want some metallic paper. So this is going on my list if these are things that I maybe have to purchase or know that I've got but can't kind of lay my fingers at it at this moment. And this has some little hearts in it too. So you know what? This may not be the right color, but for illustration purposes, I'm going to add this in here as well. So now I can take all of this and I can grab a large Ziploc bag. We do sell, well, you can't really see it very well on the camera here, but we do sell 13 by 15 bags. I think they come in a pack of 10 at the store. Or the other thing I recommend is if you go to Dollarama, they do their, I think it's their extra large or double extra large. I don't remember what the box looks like right now, but you want it to be at least 13 inches wide by 13 inches tall, because that's how your 12 by 12 with advertising strips and everything else is going to fit in the bag. And I'm just going to start adding them into the bag here. Now you may have other storage solutions other than Ziploc bags. Totally Tiffany had the tab storage pocket. There's also your Scrap Master. Any of those things will work. I'm just using this Ziploc bag for right now as the idea. And I'm really just pulling it all together and putting it in. Oh, that piece of paper is getting in the way. Putting it in my baggie so that I have a kit that I can pull out and grab when I'm ready to craft. And this bag is a nice size that it can fit in your paper handler or your 12 by 12 paper takers or whatever tote that you're taking. Oh, I got to remember to put this in as well, the photos. And I like to put the photos on top, simply that way when I'm quickly flipping through, this is my focal point. This is what I built the kit around. So having it in front makes me know that that is what the kit is all about. So any questions so far, Matt?
Nope, you're good.
We're good. Everybody's following along. And then what I'll do is I'll take this and I will put it away and I will start with the next bunch. And like I said, and maybe it was when the camera or the microphone was muted, even if you can do 2 kits a day, making decisions is hard, and I know it can take a little while. If you find that making a decision is hard for you, set yourself a timer. And I think I've shared this tip before. Set yourself a timer for, say, 15 minutes. That will help you stay on track and keep focused on the task at hand. 15 minutes is doable for all of us. But if you keep it at that 15 minutes, it's going to get done a lot more quickly. If you need more than 15 minutes, that's okay. Set the timer again, but don't let yourself set it too many times for one kit. If you're having trouble making decisions, particularly on paper, shove them both in. Put both options in there. Stop worrying about the decision. You can make the decision in the moment while you're crafting. So that is how I put together a layout kit. And once again, you could do this even as soon as you buy the paper. So say you got your photos. Say you've gone to the Papercrafters workshop and you've picked up some gorgeous papers that you 100% know you want to go with those photos. Put them in the bag right away. Maybe you haven't added your embellishments yet, or maybe you haven't picked your sketch. Keep things together that you're going to use together. And that's something that Totally Tiffany says over and over and over again. It's one of her big mantras. Keep things together you're going to use together. So this way you're not going to lose it. Now, here's a funny story. Once upon a time, I had photos. I had a sketch. I had the paper chosen to create this beautiful layout of my niece. I had made her a Snow White cake for her birthday, and I knew I pulled this kit together. And when I went to go to a crop, I could not find it anywhere. So I went and reprinted the photos. I went and got new paper, different paper. I got a different sketch. I had different embellishments. I went to the crop. I created this beautiful layout that I was so in love with, and I came home to put it in the album. And guess what? I had already scrapbooked it once. That's why I couldn't find it. So when you get to that point where, like, I know I have that thing, I know I have those photos, look through all your kits first and look in your albums because you may have already scrapbooked it. How many of you have done something like that before? I have also bought the same paper 3 different times from the same store over the course of about 6 months. So, you know what? It does happen. We do get duplicates, but building some of these kits will help you keep stuff in an easy to access area. And when you get ready to go to your crop, you go in and you pick out the 5 or the 10 or however many kits you think you're going to get done in a weekend. And it's okay to have extra because you don't know what you're going to feel like in the heat of the moment. So that is my tips and tricks for layouts.
Before you leave that, Sheri,
yeah,
we do have a question. Margaret L is asking about what about cardstock for mats or background?
So the question, if you couldn't hear that, is what about cardstock for mats, like solid color cardstocks? Absolutely, I would put that in here as well. In this particular kit, I for whatever reason didn't have any cardstock, but yes, absolutely, that's where I would go and say, okay, I want. Let's pick one here. So say I'm matching to this paper here. I'm going to pull some yellow. I'm going to pull some red. I'm going to pull some blue. And for me, black and white is a staple. So I personally would not put black and white in my kit itself because I'm always going to take some black and white. And let me write that on my list here. So black and white solid cardstock added to my list. But if it is specific colors that you're trying to match, 100%, they can go in the kit as well, so that you already have it and you don't have to go looking for it. The other thing you might want to do is if you have an alphabet die. For layouts, I wouldn't necessarily put dies in here. There's a lot going on. But if you have an alphabet die that you like to use over and over and over for your titles, you can put that, kind of on your shopping list, or not your shopping list, your packing list. But maybe make a note. Say, what about using the ABC die? Post-it notes to yourself, because as you're creating this, you're going to get ideas. And those Post-it notes will help you remember those ideas, 3 months from now when you go to the actual crop. Any other questions, Matt?
No, you're all good.
All right. So that takes care of our scrapbooking. What if you are a card maker? So for me, I tend to start my card making journey or my card making planning with the stamp set or the die set that I want to use. So this time I pulled out the absolutely awesome set from Lawn Fawn. It could be that, this is a set that I bought but haven't used yet and really want to encourage myself to use it. Or potentially I know that I am making teachers cards and I think this would be the perfect stamp set to use for those cards. Now, where with the scrapbooking kit, I was really very single focused on the one layout because I had the one set of photos. This could be something that I am making multiple cards with. So when I'm building my kit, I'm going to be cognizant of making sure I'm not just putting in one piece of paper, that I'm going to put in multiple pieces because it is going to help me make more than one. From an inspiration standpoint, so where with the layout we had that sketch from our website. This time what I did is I went to the Lawn Fawn site itself. Again, when you've got a specific product that you're focusing on, go right to the source. Lawn Fawn especially has some amazing samples. So I just went to Lawn Fawn. I typed in absolutely awesome, and they actually had 17 different card samples. So I just printed out a couple of the ones that I like to think, oh, you know what? I really like that kind of mixed media background in the back where they've just done some watercolor and some splatter. And I love the sunset on this one, or I love that this one's got clouds that have been ink blended into the background. The other thing that some of the Lawn Fawn ones have, and other brands as well. I mean, I'm using Lawn Fawn as the example here, but a lot of this is true for a lot of different brands. They've got their sketches as well. So I've just printed them out and got them ready to put into my kit. And so, you know, I write myself some notes. I like the clouds. I like the splatter. And this one, I like the sunset. So that's going to help me start to pull my things together. Now, with this, I do have my dies already cut, but if they had not been snipped apart, I might want to put on my packing list my wire snips. Definitely need my die cutting machine. My black ink for stamping. Blank ink. Alcohol ink friendly. Well, I know it's Memento, so I'm just going to write that down. And then if I'm going to do some of these other backgrounds, for example, I'm going to say blending ink and brushes. And because these are, so you might be asking, well, how do I know what to put in the kit versus what I want to put just kind of in my general packing list? Your general packing list are things that you are going to use for multiple projects. So you don't want it tucked in a bag that maybe you can't find, or gosh forbid, you actually leave that kit at home and now all of a sudden you get to the crop and you don't have your blending brushes. So that packing list is meant to be the things that you're going to use for multiple projects. In your kit are the project specific items. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so what else do I need here for this? I need my Copic markers, so I'm going to put that on my packing list. And then other things I might want are like my white gel pen. And I promise you, even if you think you're going to remember, write it down anyways, because how many times are we sure that we're going to remember and yet we don't? For my clouds, I'm going to want a cloud stencil. And then, you know what? Sometimes what happens to me is I'm going through my stencils and I'm like, oh, I came in here looking for clouds, but I found my grassy stencil. So that's going to go in there. And you know what? Of course, my cloud stencil is missing. So this is where I will write myself a note. Look for cloud stencil. Oops. Helps if you know how to spell. And it could be that I put it away to clean it, or I've got it in, possibly already in another kit, but I've pulled that out. This is where I'm going to pull some paper. And you know what? I am totally okay if I don't have the exact same paper. This is a fun gingham one. And here in my stash, I've got this partial pad of gingham, so that can go in my kit. What else have I got? Oh, I've got this one. This one's lots of fun too. So this one's called All the Dots. So that's going to go in. And maybe this is all my Lawn Fawn. You don't have to stick with your brand. I've got this pad here, you know, back in the day from Photoplay. But those polka dots could be lots of fun in the background. So I'm going to put all of those together. I've got my stamp set. I've talked about my markers. I've got this extra stencil.
Oh, you made a good suggestion for basic. What, like, to clean the ink off your hands?
Oh, so I don't know if you can hear Matt in the other room, but your baby wipes. Your baby wipes. Your alcohol spray. your cleaning tools or cleaning supplies. And this packing list might get quite big, but that's okay. Make your rough copy, then take it into Word or something like that. Make yourself a proper checklist. I've got some enamel dots here. I've got my shaker bits. So this is where I might want to grab some acetate. Like if I wanted to turn this into a shaker. So shaker. And you know what? I feel like I'm kind of all over the place, but that's what my process is. As I'm looking at my stuff, as I'm pulling out my papers, as I'm looking at my adorable little stamp set, the ideas are starting to percolate. So write yourself notes. I guarantee you're going to forget. But even if you do, that's okay because you're going to get another idea as well. Down the road, those things always happen. I do need some cardstock. So this is again where I'm not going to put the whole pack away, but I've got this partial sheet right here. So that can go in there. I think this one I've already used the partial sheet. So this one I'll grab a full sheet. And then maybe this red one as well. So that can all go in there. And, you know, when I was talking with scrapbooking, if you are going to, have your staples of black and white. So this is where you'd want your card bases to build on. Definitely have a stash of your go-to colors, your basic colors that you're always going to take. And I would not put those in the kit. Again, I'm only putting in kit specific colors here. But one thing I will put in this kit is little strips for all your sentiments. I keep myself, this is in with my mostly white cardstock, but I've got a little bit of color in here as well. But there's so many times when you are looking for just a little strip of something that you can stamp your sentiment on, cover up a boo-boo, that kind of thing. So I may put a couple of these longer ones in there. I've got some in here that are black. Or your scraps. So again, maybe I'm just going to do a little bit of die cutting. I just want a few. Oh, that's navy. I don't want navy. But this is where your scraps will really come into play. And just put a couple in. You don't need a whole lot. And it gives you a little bit extra to play with. So what else do we need? We've got our paper. We've got our stencil. Really, this is all about our consumables. And then we've got our list going here. So now I need another baggie. If you're a card maker, you don't necessarily have to go to the big, sorry, did I say that right? If you're a card maker, you don't need to go with a big one. But I like my kits to kind of be consistent because maybe I'm going to take a couple of scrapbooking projects. Maybe I'm going to take a couple of card making projects. I don't know what I'm going to feel inspired to do. Maybe I've taken a class and I've gotten a million ideas from that class and everything's all, off the table. But this way I can just start putting things together and having easy access. So this is going to go in here. These guys can go in here. And this is, I'm going to write myself a note. This is for teachers' cards. You would not believe how many Post-it notes we go through in this household. Post-it notes are absolutely your best friend to write yourself all kinds of notes so that you remember what you're doing. So if you are heading to a crop in the near future, I do recommend that you start pulling these things together and think about the challenges you want to set for yourself. Whether it's, okay, I have a stamp set that I haven't used in years and it's still in the packaging and I want to check that off my PhD list. Focus your kits around that. Maybe it's, this trip, this was in I don't even remember what year it was in. It was for our anniversary one September, and I would say it's easily been 15 years since we took that trip. I want to get it done. So build your kit around that. Think about those little milestones that you want to achieve. Think about the projects you want to cross off your list, and just one at a time, 15 minutes at a time, start building your kits. Then and start building your packing list. Then maybe the day or two before you leave for your crop, pull the 10 projects that you think you're going to work on. I guarantee you at a social event, you're not going to get as much done as you think you are, but you do want to have choices. So pick 10 projects, put them in your bag, pack your tools and supplies, and you are going to feel confident about going to the event, being ready, and getting things done.
Okay,
Question, okay.
Donna says that she missed the beginning of this, but she's like, how many projects would you take to a crop?
Okay, so the question is, how many projects would you take to a crop? I mean, part of that depends on, is it a weekend retreat or is it a day crop? I remember back when before I owned the store, and I was running a weekend crop. We were there for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I got 20 layouts completed. And a big part of that is because I did have the kits made, the packages ready to go. So all I had to do is grab and create. I will tell you that only ever happened once.
That sounds ambitious.
So 20 sounds very ambitious. And I would also argue, even for a weekend retreat, unless you know yourself, maybe you are a super fast scrapbooker. Maybe you know that you're just going to go, you're going to put your earphones in and you're not going to talk to anybody. If that's the case, you know, or maybe you're just going to your cottage by yourself and there isn't that social aspect to it, definitely err on the larger side. Personally, I would probably aim for no more than 10 for a weekend retreat. Okay, let's even expand. Let's say 10 to 15. And I don't think you're going to get all 15 done, but that gives you choice. So if I packed this Disney thing and then maybe Matt and I got into a huge fight before I went and I didn't even want to look at these pictures of him, that way that could just go off to the side. 10 to 15 from a scrapbooking standpoint is probably very generous and gives you options without necessarily feeling like you're handcuffed. If it's more card making, that's, again, it really comes down to how fast a crafter you are. If it's just a day crop, obviously scale down. The nice thing about taking, say, a stamp set and a die set is that even if I used up every single piece of paper that's in here, I could just stamp a bunch of images and sit in color. And that's a great thing to do while you're sitting talking with other people. Maybe you just take some extra white paper, so that would be a bonus thing, is just take your basic white paper, just take your ink, because maybe your neighbor has this adorable stamp set from 20 years ago that you can't get anymore. You can say, hey, can I borrow your stamp set and stamp out a bunch of images? Maybe it's not a finished project, but you're still crafting. So it's really hard to give a set number as to how many kits you should take. 10 to me feels like a good number. That's my opinion.
You kind of have to know yourself.
You definitely need to know yourself.
I know some people who bring a lot, but don't get any of it done.
Correct. And if you are one of those people that spends more time socializing than crafting, then maybe scale back. Because by being organized, you're going to be able to craft quickly, but you also don't have to pack the kitchen sink. Also remember, at a crop, if you do forget something, odds are someone else is going to have it for you to borrow. I think that was a roundabout way of answering the question, but as a general rule of thumb for a weekend crop, I might pack 10. That's my opinion.
Okay, so we have some other stuff here.
Okay, some other questions.
Well, there's a good tip here that Sheila put in.
Okay.
She suggests make sure you put your name on all your stuff.
Oh, very smart. Yep, definitely put your name on fire, whether it is, a particularly neon color of nail polish, or you can get labels from companies like Oliver's Labels and Lovable Labels, or even just use your label machine. Put your name on stuff that you definitely want to get back.
Well, here's an interesting one. Roslyn says she's never been to a crop, but she'd love to go and get some pages done. Card making has consumed her.
Yep.
But can't you do either one at a crop?
Absolutely. At a crop, you can do a scrapbooking or card making. If you are gearing your own personal goals to scrapbooking, and I know, because so again, my previous life, I was hosting 2 weekend retreats a year. And there were times where I had bins upon bins upon bins of stuff because I didn't have a kit put together. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And you spend all that time planning and not enough time crafting. So if you focus on, and whether it's card making or whether it's scrapbooking, if you focus on making 2 kits a day, in a week, you're going to have 14 kits ready to go, whether you're crafting at home or whether you're crafting at a crop. And a lot of that thinking is done for you. So this is a really valuable approach to checking things off your to-do list, getting that PhD project done, without spending your whole valuable time crafting, planning.
All right. Margaret was asking, I'm assuming it's the card kit that you put together there.
Okay.
What shade of red was that cardstock?
That was Spellbinder's Poppy.
Okay.
But I mean, these were literally just for illustration tonight, that these were the ones that I had right at the front of my bin. Definitely customize your paper to the kit.
I was thinking she just liked that color. Right?
Oh, maybe she just liked that color. Yep.
Let's see here. Carol says got to be careful of vendors at a crop. You can get distracted, but that's also if there's classes being taught in the crop.
Yep. So Carol's point being, there are a lot of things that are going to pull your attention while you're at a crop. There's going to be classes. There's going to be make and takes. There's going to be lunch. There's going to be vendors. There's going to be, and having
friends.
been, there's going to be friends. Being a vendor, definitely I want you to come and shop. But if you are reasonable and if you have these kits prepped, your time is going to get stretched that much further, which is a good thing. And I think we all have to be reasonable with our expectations. Every time I go to a crop, I think I'm going to get those 20 layouts done again. And Matt's giving me the thumbs down, and that's absolutely right. I think that's very unreasonable. I happen to just have one really awesome weekend where I was organized and got a lot done. But at the end of the day, even if you only get one project done, that's probably one more project than what you would have done at home. Because at home, there are distractions too. There's laundry. There's grocery shopping. There's mom, what's for dinner? There's, this is too overwhelming. I'm going to go watch a movie. There's going to be distractions everywhere. But when you go to the crop, and if you're new to cropping, you may not know what to expect, and that's okay. Go into the event thinking, if I get 3 projects done all weekend long, I'm coming out a winner. And look to make friends, look to share ideas, and really just look to have fun, because that at the end of the day is why we craft. We craft to have fun. We go to crops to just do something out of the ordinary and really just enjoy the moment of being there. Because you know what? If this kit doesn't get done, it can go home and I don't have to dismantle it. I can say, you know what? I had so much fun at that crop. I'm going to bookmark myself an hour a week that I'm just going to craft because I've got these kits already made, so I can make them at home just as easily as I can at a crop. Any other questions?
Janice says sometimes she just focuses on putting pictures on her pages at a crop and then finishes the embellishments at home.
That is a completely awesome idea. If you have pre-done layouts, whether it is from a class that you've taken, or I know sometimes I just enjoy making the layout and don't have any photos in place. Maybe your goal for that crop is I'm going to take these 10 layouts and put pictures on them and do my journaling and add a title, add my embellishments. It really, you do have to set yourself goals. These kits that I shared with you tonight really are, if you're starting from scratch and you want to get some projects done.
Card maker JT says she usually takes her entire craft room, so she needs to learn to pack less. So that's
Juris, this is the main reason why we did this live tonight, knowing that there are events coming. A lot of times at these crops, it could be a fundraising crop, or it could be an event where your space is very limited. Don't pack the kitchen sink. Don't pack your entire craft room. Build yourself your kits. That not only gets your thinking done, but make sure you have everything that you need, and build yourself a standard packing list so that you always take the same things. It'll keep you contained. It will avoid you having to, take a whole minivan just for your stuff. Not to mention, your pajamas and, tea and water bottles and all of that kind of thing.
Who needs that kind of stuff?
Well, personally, I've never heard of naked scrapbooking at a crop.
No.
So you definitely want your pajamas and your comfy shoes and your water bottle. But I think my challenge to you is to try it. Just try this method once. And if you get more done, if you feel more prepared, and if you don't feel like you're taking your kitchen sink, then I think you're coming out ahead.
And one last thing.
Yeah.
Kathy White says you used to run really good crops.
Oh, well, thank you, Kathy. That's very kind of you. Those retreats were a lot of fun. They're a lot of work, but they are a lot of fun. And getting people together to chit chat, to create together, to share ideas, that's what we're all about. So go back and watch this video again if you need to refresh on some of the things I talked about. Your running packing list is going to be your thing that ties everything together. Keep these kits organized. And then here's the catch. Here is the last tip that I'm going to share with you. When you get home from the crop, any kits you have not completed, put them in a bin so that they have easy access. And you can, and like I said, make a date with yourself and don't cancel on yourself. Make a date with yourself to do 1 hour of crafting a week. 1 hour we can all spare, but we got to hold ourselves to it. But the part 2 is the Monday or Tuesday after the crop, set aside, I'm going to say 2 hours to take all the kits that you did complete and put all the things away.
And all the basics.
Put all your basics away, put all your scraps away, put your stamps back in where they belong if you've completed the kit, because there is nothing worse than thinking, oh, I really want to make another card using that absolutely awesome stamp set, but I can't find it. And that's because you didn't put it away. Close the loop, put it away before you make any more kits, put the things away, and then you can start over again.
Carol did one. She put one last thing in here. She said, and if you forget something, odds are one of your neighbors has it.
Yep. Always ask, say, does anyone have scissors? Does anyone have a wire snip for trimming my dies apart? And that's also a good opportunity for you to try something that you maybe haven't tried before. Maybe somebody's using a tool. Or you go up to them and say, hey, what the heck is that and what does it do? Can you show me how it works? Crops are a hugely valuable event for learning things, learning techniques, learning about tools, learning about companies you've never seen. And don't be afraid to ask to borrow something. Um, it's a great way to really just get your craft on. All right, folks, that is it for me tonight. Remember my challenge. I want you to try at least one event where you make kits. Do 2 kits a day, 15 minutes per kit. You will have within 1 week that will get you up to 14 kits, and you will. I can almost guarantee you will feel more productive, more organized, and feel like you're taking less to your next crop. All right, everyone, have a great night. Happy cropping, and we will talk to you soon.